All right, let's dive into a really fascinating moment in time, early 2026. This is the year the AI industry, which was running on pure, uncut hype, just slammed head on into the cold, hard wall of financial reality. It's an amazing story, really. You've got mind blowing innovation, just staggering amounts of money being thrown around, and one single day that completely changed the game. And really, that's the heart of the story we're telling today. I mean, think about it. After years of just explosive growth and this feeling of endless potential, the market just stopped. It slammed on the brakes and started asking this one really simple question: okay, where's our money? Where's the return on this massive investment? And that one question, that one shift in thinking, sent absolute shockwaves through the entire tech world. But here's the thing, before we get to all that financial drama, you've got to understand the sheer creative energy that was happening. The start of 2026 was anything but a slowdown. Honestly, the only way to describe it is like a Cambrian explosion for AI creativity. It felt like new, absolutely mind-bending tools were popping up every single day. So, for example, you had Google dropping Project Genie 3. This was a tool that could take just one single image or even a text prompt, and from that generate an entire interactive open-world environment. I mean, this wasn't just making pretty pictures anymore. This was basically the birth of on-demand game creation. It was this incredible preview of what the future of all content was going to look like. And it wasn't just about creating static worlds either. You had a company called Descartes launching Lucy 2.0. This was a model that lets streamers and creators control AI characters in real time. Just imagine that, motion tracking with practically zero delay, bringing these digital avatars to life instantly. This was a huge deal. It was AI breaking into live interactive entertainment in a massive way. Seriously, it felt like we were drinking from a fire hose of innovation. You had Google integrating its Gemini agent right into the Chrome browser, then boom, a powerful new model like Kimi K2.5 gets released. Luma AI is pushing video generation forward, NVIDIA is starting to forecast weather with AI. Even Webflow is using AI to just automatically fix websites. It was just happening everywhere all at the same time. So all of this incredible creative energy, right? Well, it was being fueled by an absolutely unprecedented amount of money. The big industry giants, they weren't just playing around or experimenting anymore. No, they were placing massive billion-dollar bets that AI was going to completely dominate the future. Just look at OpenAI, for example, the company that gave us ChatGPT. Their internal target for revenue in 2026 was a mind-boggling $30 billion. $30 billion. That number just shows you the insane scale of the commercial expectations. This wasn't some little research lab anymore. This thing was expected to be a global financial powerhouse. And then look at the cost of actually building that future. Microsoft was spending over $37 billion, not in a year, but in a single quarter, just on infrastructure. We're talking servers, chips, data centers, all the physical stuff needed to power this revolution. That was a 66% jump from the year before. The sheer scale of that investment it's just almost impossible to wrap your head around. So, okay, you've got this incredible innovation on one side and this massive, massive spending on the other. Everything looks like it's going up and to the right, right? But then came the turning point. This was the moment when the market, which had been cheering like crazy from the sidelines, just suddenly changed its tune and started demanding results. You could just feel the mindset had completely shifted. The era of writing blank checks for potential, that was over. Investors who had poured hundreds of billions of dollars into this whole ecosystem were now basically tapping their watches and saying, all right, show us the money. We want to see some profits. And this all came to a head on January 28th. Microsoft reports its earnings, and by all accounts, they were fantastic. But the market got obsessed with one tiny, tiny detail on this chart. The growth in their Azure cloud business, which is really the engine for their whole AI strategy, it had slowed down from 40% growth to 39% growth, just a tiny, almost insignificant 1% dip. Well, the reaction to that 1% dip was absolutely brutal. The very next day, Microsoft stock just plummeted, wiping out $357 billion in market value. To put that in perspective, it was the second largest single-day loss in U.S. history. This was the reality check. The market was sending a crystal clear signal. Anything less than absolute perfection was just not going to cut it anymore. So that single day, that one event, sent a massive shockwave across the entire industry. The message couldn't have been clearer. The game had changed. And what did that do? It forced a huge strategic pivot away from all the hype and towards something a lot more practical. This really forced a fundamental shift in how everyone was thinking. The old way was basically a brute force approach, right? Just build bigger and bigger and bigger models and don't worry about the cost. But the new way, which was really born out of that market panic, was all about building smarter, more efficient systems that had a clear, practical use and, most importantly, a tangible return on investment. And a perfect example of this new pragmatic approach was how fast everyone adopted something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. The best way to think about it is like the universal plumbing for AI. It's kind of boring, it's not flashy, but it's absolutely essential. It's the infrastructure that lets all these different AI tools and agents actually talk to each other and work together to get complex stuff done in the real world. And we saw proof of this new focus on efficiency in the technology itself. The Technology Innovation Institute, for instance, released a new model called Falcon H1R. And what was so cool about it was that it was pretty small, but it could deliver the same performance as systems that were 7 times its size. This was a huge breakthrough. It proved you didn't need these monstrous, incredibly expensive models to get top-tier results anymore. So with this major pivot to efficiency and real-world application, the whole battle for AI dominance shifted. The ground rules changed. It wasn't just about who had the biggest, most powerful model anymore. Now it was about who could build the most useful and the most profitable systems. A company called DeepSeek basically laid out the new playbook for everyone. Step 1, build the foundational models. Okay, check. Step 2, use those models to power new kinds of search engines. Got it. But step 3, this was the really crucial part. Deploy autonomous agents. These are AIs that can actually go out and perform tasks on their own with very little human input. This idea of moving beyond just chatbots to an AI that actually does stuff, that became the new frontier. Now, this new focus, it had a truly terrifying effect on the traditional software industry. I mean, major software companies, the entire sector just took a nosedive. And you have to ask why. Well, it's because investors had this sudden, chilling realization that these powerful new AI agents could potentially replace the entire business models of huge, established companies like ServiceNow and SAP. So if money was flowing out of traditional software, where was it flowing to? Well, the market for these agentic AI systems, the ones that do things, was projected to just explode. We're talking from about $5 billion to $200 billion in just a decade. The message from investors was loud and clear. This is the next big thing. And all of this brings us to our final and maybe most critical question. That first chapter of the AI revolution, the age of pure, unadulterated hype, that was definitively over. A whole new era had begun, one that was defined by a ruthless race for efficiency, for practical application, and for profit. And so, in this new, much more pragmatic battlefield, the biggest question on everyone's mind was a simple one. Who gets left behind?